In every marriage, there comes a moment where silence speaks louder than words. Michael had reached that point. After months of feeling unseen and unheard, after nights of sleeping next to a woman who felt miles away, he finally made a decision he never imagined making. The divorce papers were already on his desk, signed on the first page, and waiting for the final moment when he would hand them over. He didn't want revenge. He didn't want drama. He simply wanted peace, something he hadn't felt in a long time. That evening, Michael returned home earlier than usual. He wasn't expecting anything, nor was he looking for trouble. He only needed a few documents from his study before finishing the last step of the divorce process. But as he walked down the hallway, ready to grab the papers and end the life he had built with his wife, something made him stop. A voice. Her voice. Claire was on the balcony, speaking softly with her friend Laura. Michael wasn't trying to eavesdrop. He only paused because he had not heard her speak this gently in months. Curious, confused, and maybe a little afraid, he stepped closer. And then he heard the words that froze him in place. Claire sighed and said, "I think I broke my marriage, Laura. I've pushed Michael so far away that he doesn't even look at me the same anymore. I wanted him to fight for us, but instead, I pushed him to give up." Michael felt his chest tighten. For months he believed she didn't care. For months he convinced himself she no longer loved him. But standing there, hearing the doubt and pain in her voice, he realized there was more to the story than he ever understood. Laura asked gently, "Claire, do you still love him?" The silence that followed felt endless. And then Claire whispered, her voice cracking, "I love him more than he knows. But I've been scared. After my mom died, I shut down. I didn't know how to love anyone, even myself. I thought if I acted strong, he wouldn't see how broken I am inside. But instead, I broke us." Michael had no words. He had prepared himself for betrayal, for anger, for the possibility that she simply didn't want him anymore. But what he heard that night wasn't betrayal. It was grief. It was fear. It was a woman losing herself while trying to hide her pain. In that moment, Michael understood they weren't two people falling out of love. They were two people hurting in silence, alone. He stepped back from the door, his heart pounding. He looked toward his study, the divorce papers still waiting for him. Waiting to end a story neither of them truly wanted to end. He walked to the desk, picked up the papers, and slowly tore them apart, page by page, word by word, ending the divorce before it ever began. When Claire walked into the room later that night, she found Michael sitting quietly, not angry, not distant, just open for the first time in a long time. She froze, unsure what he had heard or how much he knew. But instead of confronting her, he simply said, "We need to talk." It was the conversation they had both avoided for too long. He told her how abandoned he had felt, how her silence wounded him more than any argument ever could. She told him about the fears she carried, the grief she buried, and the belief that she wasn't enough for him anymore. Tears fell, hers out of relief, his out of understanding. That night did not magically fix everything. Healing didn't happen in an hour. But something important did happen. The truth came out, and sometimes truth is the first step toward rebuilding what was shattered. As the sun rose the next morning, Michael realized something profound. Sometimes, the moments we fear the most, those quiet conversations behind closed doors, don't reveal betrayal. They reveal the love someone is too afraid to show. And sometimes, the darkest chapters of marriage are the ones that lead to the brightest new beginnings. Michael didn't walk away. Claire didn't hide anymore. They chose to fight, not against each other, but for each other. Because in the end, love doesn't end when things get difficult. Love ends only when people stop trying. And on that night, they decided to try again.